Hi everybody, this is Trish from Art Journal Junkie. I was asked by Mike Deakin from Mission Inspiration to take part in a Zine video hop with some artist friends, and they are all absolutely fabulous artists. So I'm going to put the links below, and I do hope that you're going to follow our video hop. Mike said to me, take a piece of card and do with it what you wish. The only thing is, it has to have the word truth in it. So I took out a bit of paper that I had printed up, I think on a jelly plate, or perhaps with just smudging with my fingers and using a bottle cap or so, and I cut it up into fragments. I did the same with some tin foil. Now, you know, in America, Americans call it aluminum. Well, the English and the British and the South Africans, we call it tinfoil. So I scrumpled it up, then smooched it down flat, because I wanted that lovely sort of crinkled effect that you can see in the video here. And I did the same as I had with the paper, just chopped it up into little fragments. I mean, that was what my page was all about, was the truth is always seen in fragments, isn't it? So it was quite cathartic chopping up. Oh, by the way, it also sharpened the blades of my scissors. And I had taken out a very, very old pair of craft scissors just in case I messed them up. What I found was that the scissors actually were very sharp afterwards. Nevertheless, my camera then gave up the Holy Ghost. And so here's just a still shot of how I glued all the pieces together. I simply used some Mod Podge. Do you know, I can never say that word properly. I used some Mod Podge. It could have been gel medium, but I actually think it was Mod Podge. And I glued them down and then covered it over just to seal it up. And once it was dry, I snipped away and neatened up the edges with another pair of scissors, which actually I guess I should have used on the tin foil, because then they would have been a bit sharper than they actually are. So one of the things that really interested me here was that Mike had chosen a word for me, and Mike doesn't know me personally. We only know each other through Mission Inspiration, along with some of his other guest artists on this video hop. We really only know each other through the internet. I've never met Mike in person, and I really would like to. But having said that, it was interesting that he chose the word truth for me, because this is something that has been incredibly important in my life, is that people are honest and true. And sadly, you know, if we lived in a perfect world, it would be great, but we don't live in a perfect world. And so oftentimes the truth is distorted. It's seen by people to be whatever their perception of truth is. And you know this, the old saying, there's always my side, your side, and the truth in every story. So I felt that the fragments of this card were so overwhelming that to put any sort of word onto the card was going to take something that would be a little bit more subdued. So in my graphics program, I printed out the sentiment. Nobody ever sees the truth except in fragments. And printed it off onto just plain printer paper, having the words reversed out white and printing onto a black block. And then all I did was I auditioned it onto my card to see where I would like to stick it. And that's exactly what I did. A piece of paper on you can see there, just to use to do the gluing on. Excuse me. And I stuck the sentiment over the card exactly where I just felt it sort of worked. And obviously the word truth was in a bigger font, because that for me is the focus of this card, is the word truth. And I really want to say thank you to Mike for choosing this word for me. It made me think outside the box. You know, how does one represent the word truth? I guess in a religious aspect, truth could be represented by whichever religion you follow. Truth could be represented by, you know, meditation, by the soul, but how does one actually put it down into artwork? So it was quite a mind bender for me, but I truly appreciated what Mike had put forward, and let's call it challenged me in how I was going to make this card. Now I keep saying card because I've worked on it as a piece of card, but in point of fact, once I had cleaned up and scanned this card in, I then sent the file over the internet to Mike Deakin, and he did the most amazing job of compiling all our pieces of art into a beautiful zine. So the other artists in their own right are brilliant artists, and they were each also given a word, which I guess they followed in their fashion, you know, and in the way that they do their art. And they also scanned in their artwork or photographed it and sent it to Mike. So I'm going to now cross over to Mike. Oh, I beg your pardon, before I do that, the last thing that I did was I didn't want to leave the edges just blank. I felt it was a little bit too stark. So I took out my StazOn ink and a blending tool, and I roughened up the edges just with some black ink. And I must say it made a huge difference to my piece of art. And I really, really love it. In fact, what I've done is I've put this up onto the pinboard that is in my art studio, and it reminds me every day of how blessed I am to be part of this video hop number 1, to have met people like Mike. Even though we haven't met personally, I almost feel like I know him because of the toing and froing on the internet messenger and whatnot. And also the other artists who I follow on their YouTube channels. So come on along and video hop with us. You'll see in the description below will be the next artist, and once you've watched that artist's video, the next one would be shown on their description as well. In fact, all of them are on the description below. So having said that, come along, let me show you how the zine turned out. I was so seriously impressed, and Mike, thank you for making this little video clip for me to include in my video, because as you know, we don't get post very easily in South Africa, and if we do, generally it's going to be mushed up. So I said to Mike, don't hang around waiting for me to get your printed out zine, which I believe he has sent anyway, and Mike, I still haven't received it. So he made this little zine flick for me to show you what he did with all the artist's artwork, and I'm seriously impressed. So let me show you what Mike did. The zine is called Live Your Life With, and Mike did the front and the back covers. It's an artistic collaboration with a couple of artists, and this is what each of us have done. We each got a word, so here are the words. And I absolutely adore every single page. And I am so seriously impressed with Gina, Linda, Louise, Hanny and Kylie, and of course Mike, you as well. Thank you so much for inviting us to be part of this amazing video hop. So people, please go and join the other artists, see how they've done their work, and come across to Art Journal Junkie on Facebook and join me and live your life with I do hope you've enjoyed my video. Please consider subscribing and liking my channel, and I'll see you all again soon. Take care and bye for now.